In this video we're going to look at solving quadratic equations. The general form of any quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. What I mean by that is that a, b and c could have values. For example, it could be 2x squared plus 10x take away 5 equals 0. So the values a match up, b match up and c match up. When we're asked to solve a quadratic equation to a certain number of decimal places or to a certain number of significant figures, what that means is that we need to use the quadratic formula. So when it says do this to 2 decimal places, we need to use a quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So when the question says solve this quadratic equation to a certain number of decimal places or significant figures, we must use this formula. This formula would be provided to you in your formula sheet of your exam paper, so no need to bother about memorising it. Okay, you just need to know how to use it properly. Here we've been asked to solve the quadratic 2x squared plus 6x plus 3 equals 0 to 2 decimal places. It says to 2 decimal places, so that should be the trigger that we should be using the quadratic formula. X equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. But where do we get these values of a, b and c from? We get the values of a, b and c from comparing to the quadratic formula, the general form of it. The general form of the quadratic formula is ax squared plus bx plus c. So that means the thing in front of the x squared would be a. The thing in front of the x would be b. And the thing in front of, or the thing left over at the end, including the sign, would be c. All we do now is we substitute these values into our equation. So x equals minus b, so minus 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 2 times 3, and that's divided by 2 times 2. At this step here, I like to put like the b squared part in brackets and this part in brackets. I do that because when we look at examples involving negatives, it can get a wee bit confusing, so putting in the negatives and putting in the brackets, will just give you a better chance of following the procedure through properly. So we've substituted in. Now we're just going to simplify it a little bit. Minus 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared is 36. And we're taking away 4 times 2 times 3. So 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. And that's divided by 4. Okay, just for the sake of space, I'm just going to make this a wee bit smaller. Don't know why I've got a red dot there. Okay, so what we've done is we have substituted in, we've simplified, and now we need to split up our answers. Because if we notice here in the middle, it's minus 6 plus this divided by 4, or minus 6 minus this divided by 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to split our answers just like we did before with quadratics. So I'll make this my x equals minus 6 plus the square root of 36 take away 24 is simply 12 divided by 4, and x equals minus 6 take away the square root of 12 divided by 4. When you do this step on your calculator, I would advise putting these parts in brackets. Okay, so I'm just going to do this in the calculator. Okay, so this solution should come to minus 0.633, and to 2 decimal places that will be minus 0.63. And we're going to do it on the other side as well. X equals minus 2.366, and to 2 decimal places that will be minus 2.37. The quadratic formula allows you to identify these 2 points here. Without being able to use a quadratic formula, you would need to find out these by a trial and error approach. And so if we follow through this procedure properly, we shouldn't really encounter any problems as long as we just make sure we substitute in properly and we just take our time. This could generally be worth 4 marks, and as long as you've got plenty of practice with it, you should have a good chance of getting all 4 of those marks. Okay, here we're going to have to solve the quadratic equation to 3 decimal places, 3x squared plus 7x equals 1. Okay, first thing to note, this looks different. The general form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is not equal to 0. We need to make it equal to 0 to ensure that this can work out. So to do that, we're going to need to subtract 1 from each side, just like we were solving a regular equation. It's going to be 3x squared plus 7x subtract 1 equals 0. Now it's in the form that I can work with. Okay, when it wasn't equal to 0, I couldn't state what a, b and c was. But now that it is, I know that I can use my quadratic formula. It's going to be minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And our values from a, b and c come from comparing the numbers in front of x squared, x, and the number at the end. So the number in front of the x squared, the coefficient is 3, b is 7, c is minus 1. Need to watch out for negatives that we're carrying them forward properly. Okay, so we're going to substitute in x equals minus 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 3 times minus 1. That's divided by 2 times 3. Okay, I'm just going to give myself a bit more room. So I've substituted in. I'm now going to simplify. X equals minus 7 plus or minus the square root. 7 squared is 49. And I'm taking away 4 times 3 is 12, times minus 1 is minus 12. So I'm taking away minus 12. So taking away a negative is the same as adding. That's divided by 6. I'm now at the stage where I have to split up my answers. Okay, so x can equal minus 7 plus the square root of 61 divided by 6. Or x could equal minus 7, take away the square root of 61 divided by 6. Okay, so x equals minus 7 plus the square root of 61 over 6 would give us x equals 0.1350, and to 2 decimal places, or to 3 decimal places, excuse me, that would be 0.135. That's to 3 decimal places. Please check that when you do this in your calculator you get the same answers as me, because if you don't use this properly in your calculator you might get a different answer. And finally, and for the other solution we're going to have x equals minus 2.4683, and so to 2 decimal places, or to 3 decimal places again, that would be minus 2.468. Just a hint for when you are using your calculator and you're putting this in, I would recommend putting this top line in brackets. So in this question we had to rearrange it so it was equal to 0. We got our values of a, b and c, substituted it in, we simplified, we split them up, and we solved to the appropriate number of decimal places. Okay, in this final example, we've been asked to solve 3x squared take away 9x plus 4 equals 0 to 2 decimal places. It says to 2 decimal places, so that means I should be using my quadratic formula. Minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. You do not need to remember that, it is given in your formula sheet. Okay, so we look at the equation at the top, and it is equal to 0, so I can just state what a, b and c is. A is 3, b equals minus 9, so you've got to watch out for your sign there, and c 4. Okay, so we're now just going to substitute everything in. X equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and that is divided by 2 times 3. Once again, I really stress the importance of putting in brackets here, just for safety when we're working with negatives and that you're following it through properly. Okay, it is really important that you are doing that. Okay, so I've substituted in. I'm now just going to simplify it a little bit. So negative 9 or minus negative 9 is the same as plus 9. So it's 9 plus or minus the square root of minus 9 squared means minus 9 times minus 9. So a negative times a negative is a positive, so that is going to be 81. And 4 times 3 is 12, times 4 is 48. And that is divided by 6. Okay, I'm just going to give myself a bit more room. So this is the part where we split our answers. So x equals 9 plus the square root of 81 take away 48. 81 take away 48 is 33. And that's divided by 6. Or our answer could be x equals 9 minus the square root of 33 divided by 6. Okay, so this would give me a solution of 2.457, and so to 2 decimal places that would be 2.46. And my other solution would come to 0.542, and so to 2 decimal places 0.54. Always best to write down your unrounded answer and then round your answer underneath. Okay, so always write this step and then round it. Okay, so the only thing that was different here was this negative for b, and we just had to take a bit more care when we were working through with our brackets. So it's just following a procedure. You don't need to worry about memorising the formula. The formula is given to you. You just need to know where to get A, B and C from and how to use it properly with the quadratic formula. Thank you very much.